Jealousy can be a dangerous thing, and sometimes it turns deadly. In fact, studies show that nearly 40% of murders are fueled by jealousy. It can come from a partner, a friend, family, or even a stranger. But what happens when the people closest to you reveal their darkest sides? For 14-year-old Amelia Sjöberg from Sweden, this nightmare became all too real. After getting permission for what was supposed to be a fun pajama party, she was lured to an industrial site and brutally murdered. The most disturbing part? The attack was filmed and shared online by her own so-called friends. What could drive such young girls to commit such a horrific act? By the end of this video, you might start to wonder how well you really know the people you trust. Let's get started. Before we dive into the tragic events, let's take a closer look at who Amelia Sjöberg really was. At just 14 years old, Amelia was a bright and hopeful girl from Landskrona, southern Sweden. Despite her young age, she had a maturity and resilience that shined through. But her upbringing wasn't easy. She was placed in foster care at a young age, and like any child in that situation, Amelia longed for a real family, a place where she felt safe and loved. It was a dream her mother, Anna Sjöberg, worked tirelessly to make come true, even though their lives were far from simple. Anna, who became a mother at 19, did everything she could to give Amelia the stable, loving home she never had growing up. Anna had experienced her own struggles as a child, and she was determined to create a better life for her daughter. Amelia didn't let her tough background hold her back, though. She was full of life and energy, especially when it came to social media. TikTok, in particular, was where she expressed herself. Her videos were filled with creativity, spreading messages of friendship, kindness, and support. She connected with people from all over the world, sharing her youthful spirit. But Amelia wasn't the only one who loved to share her life with the world. Her mother, Anna, was just as proud and eager to celebrate her daughter's beauty and spirit. One example of this was when Anna posted a video of Amelia's 13th birthday, capturing the special moments and showcasing just how much she adored her daughter.
Nu filmar vi. Okej, vänta. Nu vill jag ska. Okej, kör. Stoppa!
In an interview, her mother also remembers Amelia's kindness, like when she was just 2 years old and decided to send her pacifiers to children in Africa. Even at such a young age, she had a heart full of compassion. But of course, like any teenager, Amelia had her fair share of challenges, especially when it came to her social life. Reports from local media and police suggest that she had a falling out with others at a youth home she once stayed at, which may have played a role in the events that followed. Though the details of what happened aren't entirely clear, what we do know is that Amelia remained optimistic, always looking forward to the little things that brought her joy. One of those things was the pajama party she was so excited about attending, a party that heartbreakingly she never made it to. According to her mother, Amelia asked for permission to attend a pajama party on July 21st of 2024. Excited for a fun night, she set out with what she thought were her friends. But instead of heading to a sleepover, 2 of these friends lured her to a remote industrial area near the Landskrona railway station, pretending it was part of the party plans. After all, they were her friends. What could possibly go wrong? Unfortunately, Amelia had no idea that her friends had a dark and sinister plan. Documents from the local court indicate that Amelia was likely killed sometime between July 21st and July 22nd. Her body was discovered shortly after midnight on Tuesday, July 23rd, and after Amelia was discovered, she was immediately rushed to the hospital in a desperate attempt to save her life. Doctors and medical staff fought hard to keep her alive, but despite their best efforts, her injuries were too severe. Tragically, Amelia succumbed to her wounds and was pronounced dead not long after arriving. The condition of her body made it clear this was no random accident. Chief Investigator Kent Persson reported that Amelia's body displayed signs of severe violence, although the exact cause of death was initially withheld. It was later revealed that she had multiple stab wounds on her neck. Shockingly, silver tape had also been found, suggesting that Amelia had been physically restrained during the attack. Prosecutor Thomas Olvmere noted that the injuries and circumstances strongly suggest that Amelia's life was taken intentionally and she was deprived of her freedom before her death. What makes this case even more disturbing is that the two girls who committed this horrifying act were minors themselves, just 13 and 15 years old. Their actions are nothing short of chilling, and it's almost impossible to think how such young individuals could be involved in something so brutal. Initially, many people on social media believed that Amelia's murder was racially motivated. However, both the media and the police have stayed silent about the possible motives behind the crime, waiting for the investigation to reveal more details. What investigators couldn't ignore, though, was the speed at which recordings of the incident began to spread online, forcing them to act quickly. The video itself is truly horrifying. The fact that the two girls not only had the time but the presence of mind to record the brutal act is unbelievable. However, these recordings have played a crucial role in identifying the perpetrators. It became clear from the footage that the crime was most likely committed by two teenagers who had posed as Amelia's friends. According to reports from Swedish media, Amelia had a confrontation with one of the girls just before her death. Shortly after, the 13 and 15-year-old girls fatally wounded her. Interestingly, after the crime, these teenagers reportedly bragged about what they had done in a group chat. They even shared the horrifying recordings of the attack. These videos will undoubtedly serve as key evidence in the case, directly incriminating the young girls involved. And when the two were arrested, one of the girls reportedly admitted to her role in the crime. The prosecutor mentioned that this girl provided details about what led to the tragic incident. Her lawyer even confirmed that her client had spoken to the police, and both girls made certain admissions during the investigation. As for the motive, it appears the brutal murder stemmed from something as petty as a fight over an insult. Swedish newspaper Expressen reports that the dispute escalated over jealousy. And this was backed up by Amelia's mother, who also claimed that her daughter was killed because of a boy. One of the suspects told police that they never intended to kill Amelia and that things just got out of hand. However, the Swedish media also uncovered disturbing evidence suggesting the girls had prepared for the attack. They reportedly stole silver tape and a knife from local stores, indicating that the encounter might have been more premeditated than the suspects initially claimed. The 15-year-old, who was the first to be arrested, had been staying in the same youth home where Amelia lived before the attack. She remains in custody while the younger girl, age 13, has been placed in the care of social services. In the days following the murder, local police and the Coast Guard searched the harbor near the industrial site where Amelia's body was found. 2 days before, a bag containing her bank cards and other belongings was discovered in the water, but the authorities haven't revealed what they were searching for during the harbor investigation. Later that day, Chief Investigator Persson shared that police had discovered a knife near the crime scene, which they suspect could be the murder weapon. A second knife was also found and taken as evidence, though authorities haven't confirmed the exact weapon used in Amelia's death. This case is still developing, and it's clear there's a lot more to come as new details emerge. When it comes to the suspects, everyone in the community is hoping they'll be tried as adults. What they did is so brutal that it's hard to believe even an adult could commit such a crime. Sadly, cases like this aren't isolated. In recent years, there's been an alarming rise in young people being involved in serious crimes. Sometimes the cause is something as small as jealousy. One of the most heartbreaking cases similar to this is that of 13-year-old Tristyn Bailey, who was murdered by her classmate, a classmate she likely trusted. Just like Amelia, Tristyn had her whole life ahead of her. She was a bright young cheerleader, full of energy and potential, but that was all tragically cut short in May 2021. Tristyn was brutally stabbed and slashed multiple times. Aiden Fucci, who was only 14 at the time, was arrested for her murder. This case shook the nation, not just for the horror of the crime, but because both the victim and the perpetrator were so young. Fucci, who lived near Tristyn and went to the same school, was known to talk about killing people. His friends said he once even planned to drag someone into the woods and stab them. While Fucci didn't have a criminal record, his disturbing behavior was noticed by others. On the night Tristyn died, Fucci reportedly convinced her to leave her house and meet him. They were seen on a video walking together near where her body was later found. A little over an hour later, Fucci was seen walking back, alone, with his shoes in his hands. Tristyn's autopsy revealed she had been stabbed 114 times, with 49 of those being defensive wounds, showing how hard she fought back. It's heartbreaking, especially considering how young she was and how much life she had ahead of her. And while Tristyn was still missing, Aiden Fucci posted a selfie on Snapchat from the back of a police car, holding up a peace sign with the message, "Hey guys, has anybody seen Tristyn lately?" Someone even replied, "You were with her, Aiden." You know what happened. As the investigation went on, a buck knife with a broken tip was found in a pond near Tristyn's body. That missing tip was lodged in her scalp, and the knife was identified as Fucci's. There was video and DNA evidence, along with blood-stained clothes and shoes found at his house. Investigators even found a knife sheath and a notebook filled with violent drawings. What makes things worse is how some parents fail to step up. Instead of helping police, Fucci's own mother, Crystal Lane Smith, was caught on video trying to clean a pair of bloody jeans after the murder. The next day, in a recorded room at the police station, she asked Fucci if he was sure there was nothing on his clothes from the night before. When he said, "I don't think so. Why?" she whispered, "Blood."
You sure it's not on them?
Crystal Smith was arrested for tampering with evidence, which just shows how deep this tragedy goes. It's a chilling example of how misguided actions can make an already horrific situation even worse. The rise in teen violence, especially crimes as brutal as this, is hard to wrap our heads around. We often search for reasons, but beyond individual motives, there's a bigger question. What's happening with young people today? Why are we seeing more and more teens desensitized to such extreme violence? It's something we urgently need to understand and address. In a recent interview, Matt Henson, the attorney who represented the Bailey family, took a deep dive into the chilling similarities between Amelia's case and the Tristyn Bailey case. He pointed out a troubling trend we're seeing not just in the U.S., but globally, an increase in violent acts committed by young people. Henson talked about how often young perpetrators aren't sophisticated enough to cover up their crimes. They tend to be caught quickly because they lack the experience and maturity to evade detection. In most cases, they're arrested and face prosecution unless they strike some sort of deal. This is especially true for minors whose brains aren't fully developed, making it hard for them to plan out a complex crime. He emphasized that while understanding their motives is crucial, proving who did it is usually straightforward because these youths often leave clear evidence of their actions. The key issue, he argues, is not just the crime itself, but what drives these young people to commit such heinous acts. It seems many of them don't fully grasp the consequences of their actions or the punishments they might face. This misunderstanding might lead them to believe they can get away with it.
These children, it appears, don't quite understand or comprehend or are able to get the idea that there's a punishment behind this. I think a lot of times they think they're going to get away with it. They plan it out. They think they're going to, but...
He also mentioned the sloppiness often seen in these cases. For instance, in Amelia's case, investigators found a knife near the crime scene and a bag with Amelia's belongings in the water, indicating a poorly executed attempt to dispose of evidence. Sometimes minors get help from adults, and there's a report that an adult is being questioned in connection with this case. While it's not clear what role this adult might have played, Henson pointed out that adults often get involved, either by assisting or by trying to cover up the crime, as seen in Tristyn Bailey's case with Aiden Fucci. He also drew a comparison to the Slender Man stabbing case from about a decade ago. In May 2014, Two 12-year-olds, Anissa Weier and Morgan Geyser, lured their friend Peyton Leutner into the woods after a birthday sleepover. Geyser then stabbed Leutner 19 times with a knife she took from home, and the two girls left her there, believing she would die. Miraculously, Leutner survived after crawling out of the woods and seeking help. Weier and Geyser later told investigators that the attack was meant to appease Slender Man, a fictional character from the internet. They believed that by committing this crime, they were preventing Slender Man from harming their families. This case grabbed national attention, with HBO even making a documentary called Beware the Slender Man about it in 2017.
Told me we had to. She said that he'd kill our families.
Who's he?
A man. He can be anywhere from 6 feet to 14 feet tall. He doesn't have a face. His skin is white.
Now, both girls eventually took plea deals, ending up in mental health institutions instead of traditional prison. Cases like this might explain why some teens seem so careless about committing serious crimes like murder. They might think that if they do something terrible, they'll either get a relatively short sentence, maybe 20 to 30 years in prison or in a mental hospital. To them, it might seem like the consequences aren't as harsh or long-lasting as they are for adults. This kind of thinking can come from a couple of places. For one, they might see how the justice system handles young offenders and think they have a good chance of getting a lighter sentence or being treated more leniently. Plus, with their still developing brains, they might not fully grasp the seriousness of what they're doing. The idea of spending years in prison or being in a mental health facility might not seem as scary to them as it does to older, more experienced adults. Turning back to Amelia's case, it's clear that the tragedy has left her family and the entire community devastated. The heartbreak, especially for her mother, Amelia Sjöberg, who's 33, is something that will linger for a long time. Anna has been struggling to come to terms with this unimaginable loss. She told local media, "I can't believe she's gone. Every time the phone rings, I still check to see if it's her calling. I'm in complete denial." At the time, the case was still unfolding, and the family was waiting for DNA tests and dental records to officially confirm Amelia's identity, even though the police had already identified her body. Anna vividly recalls the moment when the police, accompanied by a priest, came to deliver the heartbreaking news. "I told them they couldn't tell me anything more because I've already lost my parents," she said, still grappling with disbelief. Anna can't make sense of why anyone would want to harm her daughter. She described Amelia as an angel who always stood up for others and wondered if maybe the world just wasn't ready for someone as kind as her. Before the tragedy, Amelia was feeling stressed about an upcoming pajama party. She and her mom had a small argument, but Amelia quickly sent a text apologizing. Her final message read, "Sorry, Mom, for being difficult because I was stressed. I love you. You're my life." Anna and Amelia had recently reconnected after years apart. Just as we mentioned earlier, Amelia had been in foster care since she was 5, and they were just beginning to rebuild their lives together. They had been making plans for their new home, and Anna had even finished building a dressing table for Amelia, who was excitedly picking out new furniture for her room. She was so excited, Anna recalled through tears. And because Amelia had been in foster care, the pajama party was meant to be her first social party. At this point, it might be time to take a closer look at your circle of friends. Sometimes it's better to go solo than to stick around with people who secretly want to see you fail or get jealous of every little win you have. Remember, genuine friends should lift you up, not drag you down. And if you find yourself being that negative friend, take this as a chance to work on yourself and become a better person. If you want more videos like this, please be sure to like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on more true crime videos. Take care, and see you in the next one.